Welcome back to Trillium Talk, our weekly look at what's been going on at Queen's Park with our team of reporters at the Trillium. Great as always to have back with us reporter Jack Cowan to wrap up another week in Ontario politics. Welcome back, Jack. Great as always to have you with us.
Great to be here.
All right, let's get going here, Jack, and start with Premier Ford, who went on the attack this week, not against the Liberals or the NDP, but against judges. And he didn't hold back. Ford was speaking Wednesday at an announcement event at Peel Regional Police Headquarters. Let's watch.
Yeah, again, before I pass it to the Attorney General, I'm just, there's so many great judges, first of all, and there's great JPs. I'm a strong believer in our judicial system, but it's out of control now. Like you see these criminals getting out on bail, not once or twice, 4 or 5 times, and going out and committing heinous crimes. There's a story that someone was out on bail 5 times and went in and killed a young lady. This is absolutely ridiculous how these judges keep letting people out over and over and over again. I'm just done with it. We're going to hire tough on crime judges, tough on crime JPs to make sure that they follow the law and keep these people in jail because they're just being released. You could go in and kick in a door, put a gun to someone's head with kids in the house, terrorize that house, and guess what? By the time they get arrested and get out, it's the next day, and then they start mocking our police in the back of the police car. Don't worry, I'll be out by the time you start your shift. And what happens? They're out before they get, before they come back on duty. The system is broken, and there's a lot of terrible, terrible bleeding heart judges out there. Last time I checked, there hasn't been any judges elected. Maybe that's the problem. We should do what the U.S. does. Let's start electing our judges, holding them accountable, and that's my rant for the day, because I've just had it. We get elected to move forward, and some judge, because of the ideology, decides, well, let's put an injunction on bike lanes. You got to be kidding me.
Okay, there was no holding back there, Jack, and it was clear that there was some pent-up anger with the Premier, somewhat going off script. He's obviously reached a boiling point where judicial independence and accountability is concerned. Was there any one incident, or is this just a culmination of things, according to Ford?
So there are 2 main things that the Premier seems quite upset about. And one of them is judges letting people out on bail in a way that he thinks is too lenient. And another is judges overruling his legislation. People have been challenging his government's laws as long as he's been in power, and sometimes it works. And he was really fed up with, especially he mentioned by name the cycling lanes legislation, which was just granted an injunction to stop the removal of those lanes. An important note on the bail topic is that in the 80s, the number of Canadian adults awaiting trial and being imprisoned because they had been denied bail was 19 per 100,000. Now it's 47 adults per 100,000. So that suggests that actually qualifying for bail is harder now than it was back in the day.
All right. Now, the Premier talks about the province perhaps following the lead of the United States, whereby judges are elected. Did that cause any pushback, Jack, or comments from the legal community?
Yeah, that's an understatement. Lawyers, judges, legal experts of all stripes were quite upset about these comments, made public comments of their own, reaffirming the importance of judicial independence. Ontario's 3 chief justices released a joint statement saying it's crucial that the judiciary remain independent, quote, so the public can be confident that judicial decisions are made without bias, end quote. We spoke with the Ontario Crown Attorneys Association, criminal lawyers, and the chair of the Federation of Ontario Law Associations, so getting all corners, and they all were unimpressed, to say the least, with the Premier's comments.
All right, now the line of the day had to come from Attorney General Doug Downey. What did he say, and did he have any follow-up comments from the Premier's rant on electing judges?
Yeah, after the Premier's rant, which he called it a rant, so we're clear to do that, the AG took the mic and said, you should see what he says in private, which was a fun little quip, but, suggests what it suggests. The next day, the AG was up in front of the media and, of course, got a lot of questions about the Premier's comments. He said Ford's frustration is the same one that many Ontarians are feeling. But he said, quote, "Everybody knows that judicial independence is a bedrock in a democracy," end quote, and that the government will not be considering electing judges or posting their records. So it was a bit of a walk back of his boss's comments. A reporter did try to put him on the spot and ask him whether he agreed with Ford that judges are too ideological, or at least some judges. And he said, I'm not going to answer an open-ended question like that. So take that for what you will.
All right, now the government is tabling some legislation that relates to all of this. They're calling it a series of tough-on-crime measures. What exactly is that, Jack?
Yeah, they've been teasing this and rolling it out piece by piece for a while now, and there is a lot to it. So among the changes, they're including child sex traffickers in the sex offender registry. They're making it easier for cops to get guest registry information from hotels and short-term rentals, which they say will make it easier to fight human trafficking, and make it easier to get restraining orders for victims against their abusers. They're going to be establishing what they call intensive serious violent crime bail teams, which are dedicated prosecutors who are going to work with police on at bail hearings to present strong cases. They're making changes to ankle monitoring. They're making a new specialized cybercrime and cryptocurrency prosecution team, and they're giving police the authority to search and seize electronic devices that they say are intended to be used for vehicle theft, so fob scanners and that sort of thing. They're also speeding up judicial appointments. They want to add 17 judges to the court, and they are considering, they're not legislating it at least yet, but they are considering mandatory drug treatment as a condition of probation or parole.
Here's Jack Cowan, reporter at the Trillium. Thanks for this. As always, Jack, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too, Scott. Thanks.
Become a Trillium Insider today and never miss a minute of the action. At Queen's Park, you can sign up at thetrillium.ca. For all of us at Village Media, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.